All right, folks, how are we doing? This is the Doug Rice Show. I am Doug Rice, one and only. Thank you for showing up. I like that music change. Just before I go on, thank you so much. The wonderful AI disco DJ. I do like that AI for music. I mean, as long as they don't add lyrics, they can just jam on until their little heart's content. Good afternoon, one and all. It is the 3rd of December, 2023. Thank you so much for tuning in to me. I am Doug Rice, and still and yet hanging on by a thread with no net. Ah, yes, that is me. But hey, such is life. How are you folks? I'm doing well. Day after Sabbath. Doesn't that look nice? Twitware. That is who the show is brought by. I want to give him all his bona fides. About 13, 14 years of being in the game. Twitware. That's what I do. That's what the name stands for. All right, folks, thank you so much for showing up. My name again, Doug Rice. We're going to go through some interesting information today. I want to first give credit where credit is due. I have two moderators. I have one that is, might as well be just the right hand, the assistant, the person that has been with me since January 6th, 2021, when I was on TikTok and had 70,000 followers, 70,000 subscribers. Lost that promptly and continued to lose 5 or so TikTok accounts, and now I'm on my 7th. But Detrina, wonderful moderator, has been here since the beginning and has been a moderator for well over a year and a half, something like that. And so we also have Twit, that's what I do, the sponsor, who, like all of us, is simply doing what needs to be done to make sure to take care of business, and he takes care of business. He is the representation of the Doug Rice Show. And so I want to thank both of these moderators slash producers slash managers slash agents slash publicists slash, well, you know, sponsor for this particular topic, It is an interesting topic, and I am about to drop it. I like that. All right. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, all the things you see down there. Day after Sabbath, we're going to get at this. This is interesting information. Now, I had a very cursory relationship with Frances Cress Welsing, MD. In as much as I saw her once in a while in shorts and had not really delved into her writings, had not paid attention to the fact that there's an MD at the end of her name. And at the insisting and persistent nudging of the staff of two, hopefully which will grow into a staff of hundreds at least, including you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is some interesting stuff. This is an interesting writer, Frances Cress Welsing, the ISIS Papers, the Keys to the Colors. This is interesting. And to say the least, it hits the nail on the head when it comes to the keys to the colors and how it relates to so many relationships she makes with analogies. Her analogous relation to what she's trying to relate to us as a nation is amazing. And we're going to look into it. Third World Press, Chicago, Frances Cress Welsing, MD, the ISIS Papers, the Keys to the Colors, the Keys to the Colors. Like, subscribe, share. Written in 1991, first presses, I believe. Yes, Third World Press, printed in the United States. There you are. Library of Congress. So we're going to get into the dedication. Oh, perfect. It worked this time without a flaw. All right. So I want to get into the dedication of this because every word, every nuanced spoken word, and remember, these words are spoken in the mind before they're written so that we can find and get smitten with the words in kind. I don't know. I just keep doing that for the show. Dedication. This is the ISIS Papers, the Keys to Colors by Frances Cress Welsing. The dedication. This work is dedicated to the victims of the global system of white supremacy, racism. All non-white people worldwide, past, present, who have resolved to end this great travesty and bring justice, then peace to planet Earth. And I've seen this quoted in a post I've made recently. If you do not understand white supremacy or racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. And that is by Nellie Fuller Jr. in 1971, the United Independent Compensatory Code System and Concept. And before I begin this and get into this, remember, folks, that I, unlike these folks, hold absolutely no hope in that anything that they do will move the needle one way toward me or you. It will not. And that is the revelation I got, if you will. But to each their own. And remember, these words I have not known before I'm reading. So if you are needing, please eat the meat, spit out the bone, leave what you don't agree with alone. Got that from Brother Yacoba and T.I. Ministries. I want to give that its proper credit. There, I said it. All right, here we go. So we're going to go into the dedication, the introduction, summary. It's a bit much to read, okay? And I'll probably start on the first page of chapter 1, and then I'll be done. And if you want this publication, I can provide it to you. It is a PDF. You know, I have a lot of them left. Oh, they're endless. You know that. So, all right, everybody with me? Everybody good? All right, good. So dedication, we already read that. Now, no persons who classify themselves as white living in the area of the world referred to as the United States of America, or for that matter, in any other area of the world, should presume to tell any black person or other non-white person what racism is or is not until they have read completely Kenneth O'Reilly's Racial Matters, the FBI's secret file on Black America, dated 1960 to 1972. And wouldn't you have it? We have it. That's right, folks. I have a plethora of additional PDFs that I have found recently. They are all available to you upon donation or giving or support of this effort. You can do so by using the links below. Believe me, you have No idea. You just don't know how much I need your support at this moment. But we'll get to that later, maybe, or maybe we won't. I don't know. All right. So now that's a powerful statement. And it did, in fact, have me search and find the FBI secret file on Black America. So you can obtain that from the Doug Rice Show, and we will review it, just so you know. No Black person should do that. All right, here we go. No Black person living in the area of the world referred to as the United States of America should discourse on racism or deny the conspiratorial dimensions of the local and global system of racism until he/she has read Racial Matters completely. Fortunately, I did have a chance to skim through it. Having just done that, I feel fully equipped. Hey, didn't say I was going to watch my lip. All non-white people, black, brown, red, and yellow, should read and discuss the implications of the book, same book, Racial Matters. The implications for themselves as individuals and the implications for their collective should be discussed in depth. Then, all non-white people should view the docudrama videotape, the Wanna See Conference, which can be rented, by the way, to observe exactly how a white supremacy government calmly sits and plans the destruction of a people that it classifies as non-white. So that's an interesting opening of the first page. The Wanna See Conference took place in Germany in 1941 to finalize the plans for the destruction of 11 million Semites, non-whites of the Jewish religion. The German white supremacists succeeded in killing 6 million, or so she exclaims, as with the given number, according to records. After the above steps have been taken, all non-white people worldwide should read Nearly Foley's work, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a text workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy. This implored to do by the writer Francis Cress Welsing, Washington, D.C., written August 1989. Now, just to give you a heads up, we have that as well as a PDF, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. We have that as well as a PDF. We have so much information that can be turned into knowledge for the Negro nation. And that is the only way knowledge occurs. The information must be absorbed. Don't be absurd. It's got to be taken in manually. It has to be taken in step by step by step without relent. And then a good time is spent mulling over what you now have within the confines of your mind and coming to a conclusion, anyone that you might find. All right, folks, the Doug Rice Show. Now, the contents of this publication are, just to give you a heads up, are just analogous with analogies, to the point that becomes clear her preference in conveying thought and idea is to paint a picture in analogous terms. And I mean, sometimes it really stirs the mental worm. It does. So let's take a look at some of the contents of the book. First, the preface, introduction, the Cress theory of color confrontation and racism, or white supremacy. Now, I like the way every time she mentions white supremacy, she mentions racism. And every time she mentions racism, she mentions white supremacy. They both go hand in hand. The origin of alienation, anxiety, and narcissism. Unfilled field theory psychiatry. Interesting twist. Learning to look at symbols. You'll see what you've missed. The symbolism of Christ, the cross, the crucifix, the communion, and Christian holidays. That should send us on our way. The politics behind black male passivity, effeminization, bisexuality, and homosexuality. The politics behind such things. You can imagine the kind of thought process that might bring. That's interesting. what Freud was really talking about, the concept of penis envy. Guns as symbols, the motherfucker and the original motherfucker. Ball games as symbols, the war of the balls. Very interesting. The symbolism of smoking objects. Black fear and the failure of Black analytical ideological commitment. Wow. When I read that, I knew I had to get into that somehow. That is that's an interesting title for an interesting topic. I can imagine that. The concept and the color of God and Black mental health. Let me read that again. The concept and the color of God and Black mental health. The God which they prescribe to us. Very interesting. Symbolism and meaning of rape. Symbolism, logic, and meaning of justifiable homicide in the 1980s. Wow. Wow. The symbolism, logic, and meaning of justifiable homicide in the 1980s. Paper money and gold as symbols. The symbolism of boxing and black leather. Very interesting. The Cress theory of the Holocaust. Wow, okay, that might be interesting there. The neurochemical basis for evil. Black children and the process of inferiorization. Can you imagine Black children and the process of inferiorization? Negro nation, you know, we have no business in this environment. We have no business here being comfortable. We certainly don't have any business smiling in any respect while in public, in plain view of the public. For God's sake. All right, let's go. Black child parents, the new factor in Black genocide. The crisis in Black male, Black female relationships. Is it a false problem? That crisis, they say, is present. Is it a false problem? Black women moving towards the 21st century. Now, Black women moving past the 21st century might be more appropriate, but, and finally, chapter 25, and there are 25 chapters, 25 contextual groupings of this vital information. The white supremacy system, the white supremacy mindset, and the AIDS Holocaust. So there we have it, 25 powerful pieces of content, all laid out just so. And I do appreciate and thank you for tuning into the Doug Rice Show. We are doing this by God's good graces. And I say before I continue, all praises to God Almighty, and I have come to that assertion and conclusion rightly. I am dependent now on the grace of the good God above to show myself and our staff some love. We need your support. We need your donation. We need it to come from the Negro Nation, because that is apparently where it will come from. Or if not, then the Doug Rice Show may be done. But it ain't over yet. I'm doing a show every day, and I'm going to try my best to keep it that way. And I'm looking for investors. I'm looking for folks that might see that there is potential within this effort. And I will be reaching out to those who show an interest in doing such. So there we go. On with the show. Use what you see down below if you really want to try to assist us. So the Cash App, the Venmo, the other stuff, the Patreon. That's a good one, I guess, the Patreon. I haven't looked at that. And of course, Fundly. I haven't looked at that either, but we do appreciate your support. We appreciate your being here before I go forward. That is more than anything. And remember, we do have a PDF list upon available request. Ooh, that landed well. All right, so now we're just going to go over the preface of this and listen carefully, because Dr. Cress, she's very good. She's the best. Here we go. Let's hear it. All right. Preface, here we go. We now are nearing, I'm going to give this its full attention. Let me see if I can bring that up a bit. Hold on. Oh, I love the way it just did that. It does this to me sometimes, folks, so be careful here. Introduction. Well, now I got to go out. Bear with, folks. Not a problem. I can do this. Remember, I'm the only one here. So have no fear. I will fix this. All right, here we go. Boom. And we are back to the show. All right, so preface. Oh, did I just do that again? But now I can go back. All right. All right, now I'm good. There we go. I wanted to make it large enough for everybody to see. Please forgive me. Here we go. So, and again, giving it its full due. We now are nearing the final decade of the 20th century. Well, we're past it now, but I won't mention it. The great African in America, the sociologist, historian, W.E.B. Du Bois, identified the problem of this century as the problem of the color line. And that comes from Souls of Black Folk, which I also have, written in 1903. Thus, it is fortunate that in the final decade of the 20th century, a basis for the solution to the problem of the color line has been produced. Really? Let's hear it. This basis rests in an adequate analysis of the nature of the color line, the exact nature of local and global racism. Ultimately, the conscious decision by people of color worldwide, the overwhelming majority of the world's population, to base their behavior in relationships on an exact analysis and definition of racism as white supremacy will change its appearance and activity upon planet Earth. But to get their attention is the problem. To get their attention, I don't know. I'm going to read this one. Just as the problem of the color line, racism, has controlled events in the 20th century and prior centuries, the solution to the problem will regulate events in the 21st century and beyond as we enter the era of justice. The era of justice. Well, I don't know. Very well be the era of justice. It seems that some have decided to make a move toward that end in some respect. And we see the response of those who are trying desperately to protect their position on this planet. But I want to see where she's going with this. This sounds interesting, and I don't want to miss. Here we go. Recently, there's been an unraveling and analysis of the core issue of the first global power system of mass oppression, the power system of racism, white supremacy. Once the collective victim understands this fundamental issue, the ultimate organization of all the appropriate behaviors necessary to neutralize the great injustice of the white supremacy power system will be only a matter of time. The length of time required to neutralize global white supremacy will be inversely proportional to 1, the level of understanding of the phenomenon, plus 2, the evolution of self and group respect, the will, determination, and discipline to practice the appropriate counter-racist behaviors on the part of the non-white victims of white supremacy. But the only thing I fear, the only thing I hold dear is the truth. And the truth is that they'll fight tooth and nail and without fail to the death, to their very last breath to protect white supremacy. The only solution I see is that we leave. That's the only solution that I can perceive. But Dr. Welsing has different ideations, and I'm going to present them to the Negro Nation. Here we go. I'll just keep reading for the show. And the most critical factor in that change of circumstances will be non-white people's ever increasing understanding of the behavioral phenomenon of white supremacy as a global terroristic power system. We're seeing that today. We're seeing the application of white supremacy as a global terroristic power system with what is happening over in the state of Israel, because the state of Israel represents that behavioral phenomenon known as white supremacy, and it is now doing so on a global terroristic power scale. It, coupled with the rest of those who would suppose they are white, associated with that racist class created by, the European past. They've gone away from tribes and the way that God divides, and they've gone through the color schism of white or black. And the problem is we're going back. I drift. All right. Sorry, it happens. However, it must be understood that high levels of self-respect, will, and determination without an adequate understanding, analysis, and definition of racism as the oppressing power system will not be sufficient to bring the long-sought goal of neutralizing that injustice and establishing justice and peace for all people. Therefore, it is critical to have a comprehensive analysis and definition of the opposing force. Ooh, I like that. Well, I'm all for that. I'm all for dissecting intricately the ideations and mechanisms of caucasity. Yes, every day and twice on Sunday, which is today. Okay, let's just keep going. As a Black behavioral scientist and practicing general and child psychiatrist, my current functional definition of racism, white supremacy, is as follows. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. This might be a lot to swallow. The local and global power system structured and maintained by persons who classify themselves as white. Yes, classify themselves as white. Whether consciously or subconsciously determined, this system consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, action, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity. And that's economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Okay, that was one sentence from As a Black Behavioral Scientist. Just remember that. The colon does not cancel the sentence. Wow. The ultimate purpose of the system is to prevent white genetic annihilation on Earth, a planet in which the overwhelming majority of people are classified as non-white, black, brown, red, and yellow by white-skinned people. All the non-white people are genetically dominant in terms of skin coloration, compared to the genetically recessive white-skinned people. Let me land there for just a moment because I want to tell you, those are the words of the doctor, the good doctor, right? My job as an educator, my job as a teacher is to simply instruct you on disseminating this information and parlaying it to you as effectively as possible. And I hope I'm doing so. It's important that you have this information shoved down your damn throat, as it was mine through the two moderators which now moderate the show. Just so you know. Let's continue. Like, subscribe, share, massage your mental sinew. All right, so on with the show. When this definition of racism as a strategy for white genetic survival is mastered, one can understand precisely not only the present global power formations and realignments, example given here, USA, USSR linkage and European unification, but also all present urban non-white center epidemics. I don't get that, but also all present. No, oh, got it. All present number, no, got it. I was trying to read it. So, but here's the thing though about that USSR linkage, that European linkage, that USSR. Let me just explain something to you, okay? I saw something. I saw something just a few months ago. It was when Biden was not president. It was when Biden was the vice president. And of course, after Obama stared down Putin like he punked him. You ever see the stare? I've shown it to you. It's badass. He sent Biden over to kind of clean up, and he looked at Biden, Vladimir Putin, the guy that's, I think, pulling the whole strings, the king of the north, pulling the strings of the Arabs who are now set to besiege the Israelis. He looked at Biden square in his face. You know what he said? He said, let me tell you something. You think we're the same. He said this. You look it up. Check my map. Putin said this to Vice President Joe Biden. He's publicly in front of cameras. You look at me, you look at us, and you think we're the same. Well, let me tell you something. That's what he said. We're not the same. Wow. I mean, when you look a person in the eye, looks just as the same as you and I, and and just say that and let it fly, that spoke volumes to me. So regarding the USSR USA connection, we'll see. All right, I had to stop there because that happened, and look it up if it didn't, because okay. I am speaking of the concurrent urban crisis of drug use, drug addiction, drug-related murder, teenage pregnancy, infant mortality, Black academic underachievement, Black teenage underemployment, Black adult male underemployment, Black male incarceration, single-parent, female-headed households, chronic welfare dependency, poverty, AIDS, and homelessness. Well, I guess. See the graph, the diagram. Now, here's where I am with this. I can't turn it that way, so I just have to let that play. Who knows? If you got a laptop, I'll just pause on that for a minute. These are very disturbing individual and group destructive pathological forms of behavior, and they are the direct and indirect byproducts of a behavioral power system fundamentally structured for white genetic survival locally and globally. Whoo, boy, she said that. Now, let me back up here for you. I'm not going to ignore you. I'm going to give you a shot. Boom, there it is. So you can pause the screen if you like, and then you can turn that counterclockwise. Yes. And you'll be able to read the graph which she points to and outlines. Now let's go to this page and talk about it. So, and again, this is the ISIS papers. This is very interesting stuff. You're going to like this. Please like, subscribe, and share. Don't ignore this. Don't look away. The white supremacy, domination, and oppression of all non-white people is essential for global white genetic survival. Folks, what do you think they're fighting over right now? Do you actually think, and seriously, do you actually think that they're fighting over land, position? No. They're fighting this fight right now. This is the beginning fight for white supremacy and white domination for the globe, because it starts there. If they can control the worship centers, they can control the rest of the minds. And right now, they're in a fight for the control of the globe, while the globe resists the white mind. I'm just saying, the prevention of white genetic annihilation is pursued through all means, including chemical and biological warfare. Today, the white genetic survival imperative, instead of using chemicals in gas chambers, is using chemicals on the streets: crack, crank, cocaine, ecstasy, PCP, heroin, and methadone. All designer chemicals. Ultimately, these chemicals are produced by whites and made available to urban Blacks, particularly Black males, upon whom the future of Black people is dependent. Ooh-wee, here we go. The core dynamic of white genetic survival eventually leads whites to a major act of genocide, destruction of the genes of non-white people, or toward genocidal imperative. Such a genocide occurred in Nazi Germany, where in the Semite and Gypsy populations were classified as non-white and therefore were destroyed. Now, let us correct the good doctor. because the doctor may not be aware that though there were Semites that were in there, the vast majority of the Jewish population stemmed from Japheth and that particular nation. So in effect, the Germans were killing their own kin. Can you imagine? What a stupid sin. Literally killing folks that are of same Caucasic, Caucasoid mountain derivative as you. So you understand that the Nazis, the Aryans, they are in like kinship to those who claim to be Jews, those who claim to be Jews but are not. You know, they all send from that area. And you know what? What's interesting, they've done their genetic testing and they all find they come from up there area. Oh, Lord, I didn't do that. Okay, let's just keep at it. All right, let's go. All right, here we go. The reason that the black male, as recently symbolized by Willie Horton, is and always has been central to the issue of white supremacy is clarified by the definition of racism as white genetic survival. In the collective white psyche, black males represent the greatest threat to white genetic survival because only males of any color can impose sexual intercourse, and black males have the greatest genetic potential of all non-white males to cause white genetic annihilation. Wow, she's hitting from the hip, isn't she? Thus, black males must be attacked and destroyed in a power system designed to ensure white genetic survival. In the white supremacy mindset, consciously or subconsciously, black males must be destroyed in significant numbers. Just as they were in earlier days, when there was widespread open lynching and castration of black males, or during the Tuskegee syphilis study from 1932 to 1972, when a large number of black males were used and destroyed by whites. Well, now, to bring back any memories, did we not just go over the Tuskegee experiment in detail and in depth? So, what do we have there? I don't know. What's Welsing trying to say? I mean, it seems like they want all black males to go away. And, you know, they're moving in that direction, I dare say. But we'll find out what's happening. All right, here we go. Very interesting. Today, we are witnessing a more subtle, systematic approach to white genetic survival. The destruction of black males now is indirect, so that the black male victims themselves can be led to participate in and then be blamed for their own mass deaths. However, through close examination and an understanding of the ultimate objective of white supremacy as collective, white genetic survival, the steps to massive black male death, can be charted. It can be tracked, is what she's saying. Think of that. She ain't playing. The chain of events begins with the denial of a full-scale employment and advancement to black males so that they cannot adequately support themselves, their wives, and their children. Well, I understand that. You know, I'm going to tell you something. They throw everything at us, and they expect us Negro men, and I'm going to say this, and I'll say it again. They expect us to sit here calmly while they screw us over. Now, I ain't playing. I've been in this system now for my entire 58 years life. I am state raised, all right? I mean, the story is gory. There's absolutely no glory, but let me tell you. They give you no options, and they give you no vent, and they will not cease, and they do not relent. And there's nothing a Negro man can prevent to do anything regarding what they put upon us every day. And every day, you know what we do? We go about our way, and we maintain. And we don't somehow go insane. No. You better hear me, Negro men. Because you don't even hear about it, not maybe now and again. I don't know. Let me tell you how this goes. You don't see us writing 200-page manifestos going on a killing spree to white neighborhoods just to see what would happen, to see if it's all good, you know. Of all the people that should show their asses among the masses, they don't. And you know, we won't. We maintain a frame. We're the most disciplined people on the planet. You just don't talk to us. You don't know. You're just going about your show. I'm telling you, so you know now. Negro men, where to catch me out. Yeah, I said it. Spread this. Okay, let's keep going. No. I don't know. I have no idea. The chain of events begins with the denial of full scale. Okay, we got that. In turn, large numbers of black male children grow up without their father's guidance. It's a truth. This leads to frustration, depression, and failure in school. You wonder why? Well, there's a rule. Once this atmosphere is established, drugs are placed deliberately in the black community. You don't believe it? You better check 1970, 71, 72. You better check the Nixon administration. That's what you do. Better check the 80s and 90s while you at it. They've always been about putting drugs at it. All right, the drugs are then used to street treat black male frustration and depression. And you know what's interesting? They infuse the neighborhoods with as much drug as they can. And then they criminalize the drugs to a single man. That is an interesting thing. The high prices for which drugs are sold provide the black male population with the illusion that finally they are beginning to make some money and to share in the American dream. Guns are then placed at the disposal of the same black male person supposedly to aid them in enforcing payment for drug sales. You ever wonder where drugs and alcohol and where does it come from? You think it's brothers and sisters sitting at the top of the food chain making all the drugs and the guns? Is that how you think this is going? Let me tell you so you be knowing. At the top of every pyramid is a white man. Let me tell you something, folks. That has always been the plan. But they infuse our neighborhoods with as much as they can. You know what I'm saying? All right, keep going. All right. More importantly, the strategy is for black males to kill and destroy one another and then carry the blame. It must be realized that no black males manufacture the chemicals for the drug use, nor do any black males manufacture guns. I'm ahead of her on that one, huh? The same power system of racism has so ingrained a negative image and connotation of blackness in general. In general, black bears got it bad. Black Monday, black male, black sheep, black day, black bears. What can I say? And of the black male in particular, that for black males to slaughter one another in the streets daily means next to nothing. Instead, indeed, it is treated as desirable and acceptable. Good riddance to bad rubbish. That's what they say. This is in stark contrast to the urgency, alarm, and concern that is generated in the same society when only 25 young white males commit suicide in the course of a 24-month period. Then they call it an epidemic of suicide. You know, if a white male does something, let me tell you something, man. That dude that killed or shot those 3 Palestinians, they're already at his head. They're already talking about, they've already got him psychologically read. They're very apologistic. You know, they're not even altruistic. Oh, I like that one. But they seriously come to their own defense, don't they? Without any kind of pretense. If a white male, particularly a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Cretan, a Neanderthal, does something abhorrently horrible, okay? The first thing they talk about is his mental state. They talk about, you know, maybe his childhood wasn't so great. Maybe they, you know, and this is the time they start to initiate the excuses. They get real loose with it too, you know? And before you know it, they just kind of blend into the background of the news cycle and they can't be found. That's what happens when a white man loses his mind. You don't believe me? Look for the ones that killed 10 Negroes. See if you find them. The boy, they know when a Negro screws up, don't they? You remember that name. That Negro attributes some measure of fame, doesn't he? Right? When one of them goes off the rails, you poof, forget them without fail. Let's keep going. All right. Sorry about that. Here we go. Failing to comprehend the patron. Oh, somebody gave me patron. Thank you, Arthur Peoples. Arthur Peoples became a new patron because it just showed up on the corner. Look at that. That's kind of interesting. Hey, look at that, folks. Does that work? Hey, it does work. Thank you, Arthur Peoples. Just became a $5 member on Patreon live during the show. That $5 is going to go to the Trina. That's right. All right. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Wow. All right. So failing to comprehend the environmental context of the white supremacy system and its ultimate goal of white genetic survival, Black people also fail to grasp the deeper sense of what actually is occurring in front of our eyes. Now, this is a real truism here. We do not realize that the massive deaths of Black males constitutes the genocide of Black people, as it takes Black males to make Black babies and to ensure future Black generations. Now, you know where this is leading, and you can imagine. I'm doing the reading. You know, they're talking about genocide happening over in Palestine. Really? What about yours there? What about yours and mine? The genocide that has been ongoing since we got to these shores from the ships that were rowing. What about that genocide? A perpetual genocidal effort. If you don't believe me, you better examine Planned Parenthood and Mrs. Sanger. You know, her whole basis for existence was elimination of the Negro nation. And you grin and cheese and massa please all damn day amongst these abhorrently vile, crying, ridiculous, lying, conniving individuals, unaliving Negroes and gaining residuals. Yeah, I landed there. What do you want? All right, the destruction of Black males for the purpose of white genetic survival, that is what is on their mind, is the reason behind the ever-increasing disparity between the number of Black females entering and graduating from high schools and institutions of higher learning compared to the far lesser number of Black males. This becomes an educational facet of Black genocide. Listen to that. An educational facet of Black to maintain a specific demographic of your society as ignorant as humanly possible in itself is a form of mental genocide. To dumb down the population. Here's what bothers me the most when I talk about this, and this is why I host. Because I'm here to stimulate your thinking. I don't understand why the show is damn near stinking. I want you to get it. We have a more in-depth reason for looking into specific topics and subjects to each thing their season. That's right. You know, and we're a surface segment of their society. Negroes, Black Americans, if you will, have become a surface segment of American society. We damn near refuse to go deep because we'll drown in the truth that lies beneath. And so this is the reason that I sit and bequeath as much as I can. I'm just saying, I'm not playing. This is real. You know the deal. This is look, they want us to focus on the entertainment. John, whatever the fuck, right? They want us to focus on Lizzo. They want us to focus on the show. They want us to focus on the glitz, the pomp and circumstance. But if we dare look a little deeper to take a chance to know what's going on below, wow, well, that might be the end of their show. All right, well, thanks so much. We're going to continue. Let's just keep doing it and massaging sinew. Okay. Furthermore, white genetic survival is the dynamic behind the high incarceration rate of Black males in the United States, which is second only to that of South Africa. Not anymore, I think. The high rate of Black male incarceration contributes in genocidal fashion to the prevention of Black births and the Black male supported development of all Black children, particularly boys. Oh, they want us out of the way. You know what I'm saying? They want to just look at us perform. They want us to be outside the norm, but they don't, they don't want us procreating. They don't want that, or mating. No. It's an interesting thing. The genocide of non-whites must be understood as a necessary tactic of a people, white, that is a minority of the world's population, and that, because it lacks the genetic capacity to produce significant levels of melanin, is genetically recessive in terms of skin coloration compared to the black, brown, red, and yellow world majority. Thus, the global white minority must act genocidally against people of color for the purpose of white genetic survival. This is the kill or be killed mentality. This is the reason that persons who classified themselves as white behaved genocidally toward Semites in the Holocaust in Nazi Germany and Europe in 33 to 45. The word Semite, let's examine, is from the Latin prefix semi, meaning half black and half white. And that means mulatto, non-white. This is also the reason that persons who classified themselves as white behaved and still behave genocidally toward indigenous inhabitants of the Western Hemisphere who were classified as red or non-white. All right, we're getting somewhere now. Only the willingness of non-white peoples worldwide to recognize, analyze, understand, and discuss openly the genocidal dynamic will bring this injustice to an end. Now, there is where I must insert my thought. No. Only the strength of God Almighty, who is soon to arrive, will correct this abhorrent and vile ideation they've contrived. So I'm not in any way putting faith in any way, shape, or form. And I know what I say is against the norm. I know this. I show this. This is a wrap, and there's nothing that will recover it. And if you look deep enough in scripture, you too may discover it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go, folks. All right, like, subscribe, share, do everything down there. All right, most important, black males must help one another to understand that they are being led by the dynamic white supremacy to inflict extreme damage upon themselves, one another, and ultimately the black race. Black males must understand that, contrary to what is said, the war being conducted in urban centers is not against drugs, but against black males, for the purpose of white genetic survival. Drugs are used simply as the means to achieve that end. This is why drugs are plentiful, while black males are dying in ever-increasing numbers. The recent proposal to treat drug addicts at military bases is only the first stage towards a more formal concentration camp placement, more formal than the ghetto. Let me say something, folks, so that you know that is exactly where we are headed. I mean, I'm going to say it again. They're coming to get us all. Oh, yes, that is their trajectory. That is their intent. I'll say that without relent. They are eyeing Negroes in their position. And when it hits them, it becomes their volition. They will set upon the mission to take us in and put us somewhere, maybe way somewhere far out there. I've seen it, folks. You see it too. Some of y'all hear it. Some of you know what I'm talking about. They're projecting, they're telegraphing their intent. Let me say this because it needs to be said, and where we at? And we're not too far into it. They have a plan. They're making plans. They have a plan. They've planned. Don't think that because they grin and cheese in your face every day. Don't think for one moment that they do not, in the back of their minds, have something at play. You need to hear what the brother's trying to say. Okay? That's how they do things. That's how this flows. I need every last one of you to know. Ain't nothing forgotten. Ain't nothing over. They know this. They know there is a price to pay. You understand that they feel it on the way. That's why they've got such bad energy, if you will, okay? They know it's coming. A reckoning is coming. I like the way they said, you know what, slavery is over. What happened to Negroes? You guys should just get over it and move on, you know. And we all need to just get along. Oh, but you know what? That just means what you're saying, see, is what you're saying is the last 400 years, the castrations, the lynchings, the burnings, alive, the barely making it and trying to survive. All of that is just past tense, and we should just move on, you know, post tense, right? You know, and shake hands and kumbaya and, you know, and sing howdy hooey and la la la, all that shit, huh? Just forget about it, huh? No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. Everything you put out is going to come back at you. Have no doubt. The trajectory is clear and it's drawing quite near. And you feel it. You're shaking and shivering in fear. White folks, I'm not playing with you. I'm telling you the truth because that's what I do. Oh, yeah, baby. We're back at it. Mastering the above definition of racism as a strategy for neutralizing white supremacy will permit one to decode accurately the symbolism in the new Madonna video, Like a Prayer, designed consciously and or subconsciously by whites to massage, stimulate, and enhance further the collective instinct for white genetic survival. The reason she's keyed in on white genetic survival is because they are. They're talking about it under their breath. They're scared of their ultimate death. And they're working hard with what they've got left. We're on this. The same could be said about the recent films Betrayal and Mississippi Burning. Furthermore, such an understanding will help clarify the persistent and even violent behaviors on the part of persons associated with the so-called right to life movement, which seeks to prevent abortions, especially among whites. Boy, they trying to stop them girls, ain't they? I hear that. Recognizing racism as the struggle for white genetic survival helps one to understand what is happening in South Africa, which is euphemistically referred to as apartheid, is only the tactics and strategies of the minority white population numbering only 4 million persons attempting to survive genetically while surrounded by a majority black population of 26 to 30 million. Wow. I didn't do those numbers. So there are 4 million European white people transplants from the Caucasus Mountains into South Africa through Holland and the Netherlands and all them other places. There was 4 million against 26 to 30 million, and they were subjugating all 30 to 30 million of them. Man, oh man, that's the price that Pam pays for turning against us that way. You know what's happening. It was already spoken in the Bible. Yeah, it was spoken that they'd be running for their very survival. Finally, the time has come for unveiling the true nature of white supremacy, racism. For this reason, I've entitled this work the Isis or Yeesis Papers. I don't know if that's the way I should pronounce it, but hey. The keys to the colors. Isis is the most important goddess of ancient Africa, specifically Egypt. She was the sister wife of the most important Egyptian god, Osiris, lord of the perfect black, and the mother of Horus. Here she goes. All right. In the astral interpretation of the Egyptian gods, Isis was equated with the dog star Sirius or Sothis. According to the ancient African story, after the murder and disembodiment of Osiris by his evil brother Set or Seth, Isis discovered the crime, recognized the pieces of the body of Osiris, and put them together again, restoring his existence and his power. According to legend, Isis admired truth and justice and made justice stronger than gold and silver. Thank God. Little g. In the present era, truth and justice have been crushed by the global power system of white supremacy, making the existence of peace on the planet impossible under the reign of terror. The attempt in this work to reveal some aspects of the in-depth truth about the white supremacy power system for the ultimate purpose of establishing justice and peace in the world and is in the tradition of the great African goddess Isis. Well, you know what? You know what? Good luck with that. That's not going to happen. But I just want to finish up. I'm just saying the hope and that, I wish that humans had within them to direct their own step, but unfortunately, what the priority of life is to love the Creator with all your heart, mind, and soul, obey the commandments, and treat others as you would. So the whole treating others comes third to the first two. So yeah, it's okay. You'll work it out, though, I'm sure. Let me finish up her preface. I think that's what it is. I hope that with this knowledge, the world's non-white people, black, brown, red, and yellow, will work more effectively to neutralize this globe in the most monstrous form of justice and chaos. Any person not interested in a definition, analysis, and deeper understanding of worldwide white supremacy must have an interest, conscious or subconscious, in maintaining the same. The subtitle of this work, The Keys to the Colors, came from a statement made to me by a patient in a Washington, D.C. public mental health clinic in the late 1960s. The patient was a tall, thin, middle-aged, black-skinned man who, in a somewhat confused manner, talked earnestly to me about the problems he experienced in his life. Oh, he was a Negro. She won't say Negro, will she? He said, "Doctor, if we could just find the keys to the colors." Negroes are the keys to the colors. Yeah, that shade of brown. And he repeated it slowly. It was a statement I never have been able to forget. This work is a portion of my response. Written again in 1989, Francis Cress Welsing, MD, Washington, D.C., 1989. Wow, huh? That's something, isn't it? Okay, so we're an hour into this, which is kind of typical. This is brought to you by Twidware, and Twidware is a hell of a brand. Twid is a hardworking, woke Negro, and I would prefer it if you would go to twidware.com, as I take just a 5-minute pause for the cause, and let you know that Twid has Twid sports gear. He has Twid shoes. He's got Twid shirts. He's got skincare. He's got beard oil. I'm looking for the beard oil. Did you know that gray hairs have the resiliency of a strand of like a metal wire? So you want the oil to keep everything nice and cozy and nice and soft. You know what I mean? And we have that. We have the skincare. We've got the beard oil. We've got this Twidware. We've got it all. It's a brand. Twid, I'm going to say it again, stands for that's what I do. For instance, when I tell you to get that goddamned grin off your Negro faces, that's what I do. What do? Don't you do something? All of you do something. Well, do this. Go to twidware.com, use the promo code TDRS, and get 10% off any purchase of Twid gear. Go! Please, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Watching the show. All right, back at it. You guys get it? I can't survive without your assistance, and some of you are putting up a little resistance. I'm going to need about 10 grand to keep this show going right now if I can. So dig deep. There, I've said it. That's the number. And maybe you've read it. No, you haven't, but it'll transpose. So dig deep in those pockets. All right, here we go, folks. Let me get back to this because here, we're going to do the introduction. I'm going to stop at the first page of the first chapter. Here's the reason why. I can't read it all. You saw how much info. Now, I will entertain going through specific chapters because she has a lot of knowledge in there and absolutely no laughter. Just kidding. She's just wonderful, wonderful writer, wonderful. The way she looks at things squarely. Let me say this. Too many of us in this country that are Negroes that can clearly define their ancestry and association with the transatlantic slave trade. That is a 90% give that you are Negro. That you are Negro. Was that me? It was. And that you are a Hebrew. Now, if you're a stiff-necked individual, if you can't seem to get everything together as you need to, and you've been fought tooth and nail, if you feel a pressing upon you when you try to elevate within the confines of this caucastic contribution to society, then you might be a Negro if it's a struggle every damn day. Now, if you've sold and bought into the promises of America, well, things might go your way. But let me tell you the trade-off, because you're going to be here, and this is where you'll stay. we are not here to build a future here. We're here to steer clear until we can get out of here. And every conscious and woke Negro that's waking still understands that. I mean, and for goodness sake, the scriptures are right there, and well, they demand that. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue with this show. This is not a program. This is a deprogram. This is not a program. This is a format. You need to be wiped clean. Too many of you are just mired in the dirt, if you know what I mean. You just love this place, and you're scared to look back at empty space. You won't even take a glance. You won't even give a brother a chance. You know, I mean this. Save the show. You've seen this. Okay, we're done. All right, here we go. All right, let's continue. I hope I haven't lost too many of you. Here we go. All right, so this again, Miss Welsing. Keys to the colors. Let me get this down here. Dr. Welsing, I believe, has something that we all need, and that's just clarity and frank talk. And, you know, for those that don't like it, walk. This is the introduction to this, and after this, I will do the first page of the first chapter, and we're amiss. We're out. We're going to be on the air a minute. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share a minute, huh? You know, just do it down there a minute, huh? All right, stay on your square a minute. All right, here we go. The ISIS or YISIS or ISIS, whatever, the papers, the ISIS papers, the keys to the colors is a collection of essays that I have written over the past 18 years. Following the presentation and publication of my first work, The Cress Theory of Color Confrontation and Racism, White Supremacy, the first paper was a theoretical statement, a psychogenetic theory, and world outlook on the origin and meaning of the global white supremacy system. The theory summarizes and clarifies our experiences as Black or non-white people on a planet presently dominated by people who classify themselves as white and who are a minority of the world's people. Haven't any of you ever considered that that is a fact? Haven't any of you just pondered and sat back and said, man, they're the least populous nation on the land. In other words, they don't, you know, they won't, you know, on with the show. All right. You're saying. The Cress theory was based upon the insightful work of Neely Fuller, Jr., author of the United Independent Compensatory Code /System /Concept a textbook /workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy. What? All that? You couldn't have done something with that. Fuller, the founder of the racism /counter-racism concept, was the very first victim of racism to understand it as a global system of organized behavior, thought, speech, and action for white supremacy domination in all areas of people's activities: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. You better know it. In other words, he recognized that all activity and behavior encompassed by the white supremacy system has its origins in the dynamic of racism. Additionally, Fuller understood that racism contained the seeds and origin of counter-racism, the behavior dynamic of liberation for the non-white victims of white supremacy. I will say this again, folks. Listen to me. What you have to do, what non-white people would have to do to get rid of white supremacy is get rid of white people. That's not going to happen. None of us. First, that's not the solution that we would undertake. It's not up to us, for us, or within our purview. to do anything as horrendous as what the Nazis did, as what other societies have done, in essence, what the Israelis are doing now, the genocidal conquest and subjugation of an entire society until they are no more. Because here's the deal. You can't get it out of the minds of the individuals, like their kind, that associate being white with being superior when in the face of what we examine, they are in fact inferior, genetically recessive. They are not genetically dominant. And that seems to be what's catching in their craw. Do you understand? So there is no solution. There's not a solution to the white man. We good? All right, I'm going to continue. Let's continue. Hey, you came here to hear the truth. Look, what do you think they're fighting about? What do you think is going on over in Israel? Do you think it's about Israel and its right to exist? And do you actually think it's about the Palestinians wanting Israel out of it? They don't give a damn. What they don't want are these Europeans in their land. That's what they don't want. And I'll say it again. I'm going to say it again. I'll say it now. I'll say it again. Negroes have been taken out of position. That's what's going on. That's all. We've been taken out of position, and it follows that everyone else went out of their position, particularly these individuals who had no position, took it upon themselves and took it as their volition to spread themselves across the globe. You know, their whole image, their likeness, everything about their whiteness. That's what they've done. And now they're on the run. So like, subscribe, share, and tell someone. All right, let's do this. I just got to do it. All right, let's do this. Yeah, Fuller did that. Boom. Additionally, boom, got it. Additionally, Fuller understood that racism contains the seeds, and we saw that. His work led me to question the necessity of the global white collective to evolve such a system of unjust behavior. The result was the Cress theory of color confrontation and racism. White supremacy. Cress is my maiden name. Very well. This thesis provided me with a unified field theory approach and understanding in the Einsteinian sense to all behavior phenomena manifested with high frequency in the local and global system of racism. So her discipline, obviously, is Einstein. When a psychologist determines what they will do, she is an MD. So she is a sociology she's a psychologist in the strictest sense. She's a psychiatrist. And her discipline, some of them target Jungian, some of them do Einstein, some of them do Freud. Well, in this instance, her Einsteinian sense was not psychological. So this is her scientific sense. So interesting. So the Einsteinian sense. So, and she takes from Freud. I'm glad I figured that out myself. I'm glad I did that. All right. So she uses Einstein and she uses Freud to, I believe, establish some of the points that she's making. All right. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't taken away from anything. All right. I like that. The great physicist Albert Einstein, in The Meaning of Relativity in 1922, had the following to say about the unified field. Listen carefully, folks. The object of all sciences, whether natural sciences or psychology, is to coordinate our experiences and to bring them into a logical system. The only justification for our concepts and systems of concepts is that they serve to represent the complex of our experiences. Beyond this, they have no legitimacy. How interesting. It almost seems as though Albert Einstein, in writing The Meaning of Relativity, delved into the psychology as it applies to science. Very interesting. Natural sciences or psychology, to coordinate our experiences, to bring them into a logical system. The only justification for our concepts and system of concept is to serve, to represent the complex of our. So beyond that, they have an interesting. So the Cress theory permitted me to see and understand many forms of activity on the part of whites and their non-white victims that have been either ignored or taken for granted. These behaviors, which can be viewed as symbolic of the fundamental objective of white genetic survival, are found in the social reflection of the white supremacy power system, the white supremacy culture. Together, the system and culture of white supremacy produce the phenomenon of racism. Thus, throughout this book, the terms system and culture in reference to white supremacy are used interchangeably. This deep investigation and understanding is essential if Black and other non-whites or other non-white peoples are to succeed in playing the Black side of the chessboard, defense, offense, in contrast to the white side of the chessboard, offense, defense, in the planetary game of chess, white supremacy being played out between white and non-white. Let me just say that about about that. In chess, there are rules, and the players adhere to those rules, or there isn't really a game. There's just make-believe. See, this is why I don't ascribe to the notion that there is some hope that derives in the white lives of those that are striving to maintain that system. I think by a long shot we'll miss them. They won't ever corral themselves into sense. No, all they'll do is delve into pretense. So, as you know, as much as I like how she tries to get this, get this off the ground, there's not a sliver of hope anywhere to be found. I like that. Currently, the players on the Black side of the chessboard are in a continuous state of checkmate, a losing streak that is centuries long. And how does she expect to change that streak? This has happened because of our failure to understand the game. Okay. Heretofore, non-white people have not decoded white genetic survival. Heretofore, non-white people have not decoded white genetic survival. I'm almost of the mind she believes that realization of this genetic attempt at white survival will itself stamp out the attempt. It will not. You can notice all day a bank being robbed. If they are in the middle of the robbery, it's a good bet they're not just going to stop because you saw them and you identified it as what it is in all clarity. So I'm sorry, I just don't think that realization that they're doing what they're doing and pointing at them and telling them that we see them, that's not going to stop them from robbing the bank. The police got to come up. He's coming. After presenting the Cress theory, my brain computer was flooded with new understandings, specifically related to the global white supremacy system. Many things that I, as most people, viewed as commonplace, I began to see in a different light. That's what happened to me when I woke. It was as though an enormous window was opened in a room that had been without sunlight. I recognized many of the items I saw anew as symbols in the white supremacy system. Well, I got to tell you, if by the looks of the contents, they've hit every facet. They haven't missed them, not a single thing. Perhaps because I am a general and child psychiatrist with considerable experience in interpreting the symbolic play of children and the symbols in the dreams of children and adults, I was sensitive to the symbols in the behavior system of white supremacy once it had been defined and decoded. Though symbols are usually visual entities, they also take the form of speech or can be found in activities such as games. Symbols are specific to peoples and their experiences, their evolved cultures and circumstances. As such, symbols are the entities that carry highly compacted messages pertaining to the origin, identity, and survival of the individuals and collective people. And I believe what she's getting at here is the symbolism and the analogies in that symbolism that she uses to convey what she sees is extremely insightful. I really like it. It's quite delightful. In the form of visual entities, patterns of speech and or activity, symbols contain complex messages distilled from the conscious levels of the brain computer. These messages have been reduced to their essence in the subconscious functioning. There, these highly coded messages are stored and continuously referred to for existence and survival. Once a symbol evolves in a person's subconscious, that person uses the symbol with high frequency and has little or no necessary conscious understanding of its meaning. Now, that is an interesting state because it's true. And I see which way she's leaning. A shared symbol speaks volumes, although contained in a relatively small visual or auditory package. A symbol speaks loudly or even shouts its meaning without uttering a sound. Symbols communicate from one person's subconscious to the subconscious of another who shares the same identity and survival necessity. Now, you understand what she's talking about now when we tell them they're all on code. They're all on code for their own white survival. Now it begins to make sense. Very interesting. A symbol speaks loudly or even a symbol communicates from one person. So I got that. Such communication transpires at subconscious levels when the conscious levels of brain computing functioning cannot bear to address certain issues. White supremacy is a topic that few can or dare discuss in depth at the conscious level of brain computer functioning. This is so true. Most of you don't want to talk about this. I understand you. I do. Few dare to probe or research white supremacy as this could lead to the dismantling of the system. No, all it's going to lead to is more subjugation, more of an attack on that attention toward what is realized. They will never fight fair. They will never come to their senses. I am sick of that drivel. Let the game commence. You know what I mean? They are not going to come to terms. They are never, ever, ever going to learn. I mean that. So I appreciate her information. I just don't see any out for the Negro nation that doesn't involve the kingdom and its survival. All we have to do is fight for our survival. All right, there we go. Let's see. If you dare to probe. Therefore, it is not surprising that there are many symbols of white supremacy that reveal its roots and struggle. Right. In the white supremacy system, often referred to as the Western culture or civilization. In the white supremacy system, often referred to as Western culture or civilization, there is little conscious focusing on symbols, their information, use, and interpretation. To the contrary, non-white peoples in their original cultures tend to focus on symbols and dream interpretation as essential aspects to their lives. And the example they give are African culture, objects referred to as African art, the Egyptian African systems of hieroglyphics, and the symbols and interpretation of dreams in biblical stories. Therefore, as an African, it is difficult for me to explain the ability to see and understand symbols. However, I am aware of making a certain shift to a lower frequency of brain-computer functioning, away from that frequency required for ordinary day-to-day conscious functioning, in order to see and interpret symbols. But I must repeat that my ability to explain a process for symbol interpretation is derived from my ongoing search for a firm understanding of the overall context in which these symbols evolved, the white supremacy system culture. Perhaps there will be persons, black as well as white, who fail to appreciate the language of symbols. There will be those who demean the attempt to decode symbols and ridicule their value and my interpretations. Also, there will be those who seek to identify and decode symbols but fail. Nevertheless, I am presenting certain symbolic aspects of the white supremacy system culture in an effort to increase our understanding of racism and thereby assist in bringing justice to the world. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to see how much I have left. Not too much. So I am going to take a 5-minute break and I'm going to relax my voice just a little bit, drink some water, and then I'm going to go back to this. So if you don't mind, I would like it if you could take a 5-minute break with me. I'm going to start the music up, take a break. We're going to come back to this in just a moment. It's going to be about 5 minutes. We're going to be back here about bottom of the hour, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much. Hold on. 5-minute break, folks. Pause for the call. All righty then. Doug Rice brought to you by Twidwear, as you can see. Twidwear, sportswear, skincare, we'll have it all up there. Don't worry about it. I do appreciate you giving me 5 minutes to just relax the voice, getting back in it, drunk some water, all of that good stuff. And we're back at the ISIS Papers introduction. And we will read the first page of the first chapter. And then I've got to go. I've been on here for over an hour and a half. But this is very, very exciting and very pointed information to be disseminated through our nation. And here we are, Zion, going to continue and go on and continue even more to see what's in store. Okay, so where were we? I do remember seeing us here. Ah, yes, here we are. So once again, we are reviewing the ISIS papers, at least the introduction, the preface, first page of the chapter, first one. Quite frankly, she gives us a great insight into, Dr. Welsing gives a great insight into the keys to the colors. I want to thank the moderators, both Katrina and Twid, for being here and managing the crowd as it were. For those of you that have to take off, take off. If those of you stay. Please like, subscribe, share. We'll see it all down there. We're going to continue with the reading, and let's see what it's seating. Here we go. All right. An examination of the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., and recognition of it as a symbol of white power, specifically white male power, thus a gigantic white penis or phallic symbol, may assist one who has difficulty in understanding symbols. The law that no building in the District of Columbia can be taller than the white phallus-shaped Washington Monument, which, by the way, looks like a robed Ku Klux Klan, is not coincidental. The underlying meaning of the monument and law is that there can be no challenge to white power. It is not without significance that the Washington Monument, as a phallic symbol, towers over a predominantly Black population in the capital city of the most powerful government in the global white supremacy system. If this is not sufficient, those who fail to understand the symbol should go to the East Wing of the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., and view the painting specifically commissioned for that building by the artist Robert Motherwell, entitled Reconciliation Elegy. This work is a continuation of Motherwell's earlier series of paintings, Elegy to the Spanish Republic. The entire Elegy series consists of massive Black forms, some round or oval, some massive and vertical, positioned next to one another. All the forms are Black against a white background. In the book, Reconciliation Elegy, Motherwell states, "White has always conveyed to me the radiance of life, so that if one, though this is too literal, if one takes the elegies as a metaphor for life and death, then obviously a sense of life as freedom and of death as the terminal vivifier can be an endless obsession and preoccupation. In a curious way, the Reconciliation Elegy, my Black forms, the life-death forms are becoming personages instead of Black stones, and the Black and white are beginning to merge. Death has become a continual living presence to me." The word elegy means a poem of lament or praise for the dead. The massive Black oval and vertical forms, symbolic forms representing death, obsessively painted throughout the entire Elegy series, were immediately seen by my eyes and the eyes of of a black person as the imposing genitalia, testicles, and phallus of the black male dominating a white background, symbolic of the global white collective. While inferring to the round objects he has painted as stones, Motherwell seems unaware that the word stone is an ancient term for testicles. However, in his own description, Motherwell speaks of the black and white painting as a metaphor for life and death, white as life and black as death. Certainly, he is not thinking consciously of his paintings of black male genitalia as symbols of white death through white genetic annihilation caused by black male genitalia and black genetic material. Certainly he isn't, but symbols do not arise from conclusions, from conscious levels of thought. Still, however, it is astonishing that Motherwell is unable to see his forms as black male genitalia and name them overtly as such. But does Motherwell consciously understand white supremacy? According to Motherwell, the first part of his series, Elegy to the Spanish Republic at the level of his conscious thought, refers to the aftermath of the defeat of the Spanish Republican Army by the Spanish fascists in the 1935 Spanish Civil War. However, at a much deeper level, it occurred to me that Spain also was conquered for 700 years from the 8th to the 15th century by black men from northern Africa, the Moors. Interesting. During their occupation of Spain, the Moors damaged the efforts of white genetic survival, causing Spaniards to become darker in skin color compared to the rest of the Europeans because of the long-term admixture of African black genetic material. And we know, folks, that Moors are a mixture of black Hamites and black Jews, basically black Hamites and black Jews, black Negroes. Only with this understanding does the obsessive painting of the symbolic forms of the black phallus and testicles in a series entitled Elegy, Poem for the Dead, make fatal sense. Not understanding the underlying fear of white genetic annihilation in the collective white psyche causes a mere surface interpretation of the painting, even in the mind of the artist himself. Failure to reach the core issue of white genetic survival, resonating in the subconscious, which is most threatened by the genetic power in the genitalia of the black male, regulates interpretation to superficial levels with a failure to see and understand the symbols arising from that subconscious core. Motherwell addresses the issue of white Western survival in his comments on the Elegy series, specifically on Reconciliation Elegy. Against the background of possible nuclear holocaust, we must even reconcile ourselves to the fact that Western man, in choosing centuries ago to exploit nature rather than to marry her, has doomed himself with an industrial technology for which there is neither the wisdom nor the political mechanism to control. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. Yet, after having said all of the above, Motherwell still remains unconscious of the symbolic forms of his paintings. Indeed, the industrial technology and the nuclear weapons of which Motherwell speaks are designed by the Western white collective as protection against white genetic annihilation. Who would have thought that? So this is the reason they won't tolerate Iran to have a nuclear weapon, as it puts them on equal footing with these white Western individuals who are collectively trying to prevent their own genetic annihilation. Other Motherwell paintings of black figures against white backgrounds bear such titles as Africa, Study for Kilimanjaro, and Ancestral Presence. This same concern and subconsciously perceived threat in the white psyche of the black male via black male genitalia to white genetic survival is played out in the symbolism of the bullfight. In the bull ring, the bull is usually black. The bullfighter is usually a white male or any male in a suit of lights, meaning white. She's stretching a little bit, but okay. The bull is chased and tormented. I mean, I can see it until it is killed. This killing goes on obsessively as a survival in the presence of the black male threat, symbolic of white males conquering black males or of white survival in a world populated mostly by non-white people. I don't know. I might be able to connect those dots, those psychological dots. Wow, interesting. Further, we must understand symbols of communion in the Christian religion. The wine and the bread that are eaten by the communicants are symbolic of the blood and body of Jesus, respectively. It is important to keep in mind that Jesus was an African, a black male whose color had been changed to conform with white supremacy, perception, and ideology. Finally, King Kong, the film in which a gigantic black ape plays opposite a white female, addresses in symbolic form the threat of the black male to white genetic survival. Of course, King Kong is killed by the end of the film. Now, that brings to mind LeBron James on the cover of Vogue, I believe, and him acting like a gorilla against a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white victim. And does he understand that at the end of the movie that King Kong is killed? The papers in this collection were written over the past 19 years. They are dated to give the reader some appreciation of the order in which they evolved in my thought process. They are of whole cloth. All are derivatives of the white supremacy power system culture, which before now has not been understood in sufficient depth. Several essays address symbolic symbols in the white supremacy system culture. I did not contrive these symbols. On the contrary, I looked and there they were. Some have asked, why is it that others have not penetrated these deep symbols of Western culture? Why only you? My answer is that I neither saw these symbols nor understood their meanings until I had written the Cress theory of color confrontation and racism. That analysis gave me access to the total spectrum of collective brain-computer products, symbols, logic, thought, speech, action, emotional response, and perception that emanate from those who have established and maintained Western civilization. So there's a code to be decoded within Western civilization. Having probed to the central core of Western civilization, I was able to see into intuition equals into it, the myriad energy phenomena that spin off from that dynamic core. Recognizing the specific injustice committed against non-white people in the framework of Western civilization and culture, it became clear to the entire Western civilization dynamic is fundamentally linked to the fear of white genetic annihilation and the subsequent need, as experienced by the global white collective, for the continuous battle against the genetically dominant global majority of black, brown, red, and yellow peoples. That became clear to her. The organization for that survival is none other than the white race, which carries out the global system of white supremacy. Although initially it came as a great surprise, it is only logical that the myriad symbolic manifestations of the struggle for white genetic survival abound throughout the historic and global structure of white supremacy. These symbols manifest wherever one looks, wherever one steps, and wherever one turns. That these subtle and once hidden symbols are everywhere serves as the strongest evidence of the validity of the Cress theory. It is as though I had written, if the Cress theory is correct, symbols so informing us will be found throughout the whole of Western civilization and culture. Indeed, without the specific theory, one can look at the symbols for decades and truly not know what one is looking at, even when one is handling the symbol in one's bare hands. Interesting. One then might ask, why is it necessary to read a civilization or power system at deep levels? Western culture has produced much violence and destruction on the planet. It is like a cancer destroying the body. A physician attempting to treat or cure a cancer must examine the patient at deep levels. It is inadequate to stop at what is seen with the unaided eye. The physician attempting to solve the problem of a persistent and troubling cough in a particular patient may order x-rays to study, or x-ray studies to view the inside of the lungs and the chest cavity. He or she might perform a microscopic examination of bacteria culture, studies on the sputum that comes from the lungs in order to understand the cause of the cough. When the cause is understood, chances that the disease can be treated effectively and cured are improved greatly, while that which is not understood in depth rarely can be treated or cured. Well, the understanding is irrelevant at this point, in my opinion. I don't think the patient wishes to be cured. I think the patient enjoys the disease and all that it pays. And if you please, I think the patient enjoys being sick. There are such as those. They run thick. Within the confines of caucasity, they enjoy being ill, and I believe that they will enjoy being more ill still. I truly believe that they're not looking for a cure. I think it's up for Negroes simply to endure, but let's continue. Let's continue. Similarly, there are serious problems posed for the vast majority of humankind by the specific dynamic of Western white supremacy culture. The cure is on the way. It's called enslavement. That's what's happening. I hope that this collection of essays will assist Blacks, Negroes, and all other people, who have as their cosmic responsibility the resolution of the problem of injustice in the world. No! It is not the cosmic responsibility of humans to bring about the resolution of injustice in this world. It's absolutely not. It is the responsibility, and specifically the cosmic responsibility of the Creator, to bring about the injustice brought about by humans in this world. Humans don't have the capacity to bring about that injustice. You see, injustice pays too well, as far as I can tell. So I don't believe that. All right, instead of engaging over past practices of complaining, moaning, crying, groaning, begging, clapping hands, and singing, we shall overcome when confronted with these death-causing, life-stultifying problems posed by white supremacy. Black people in the United States must dissect and analyze those problems to their core. Why? We don't need to do that no more. With this knowledge, Black people can take the necessary steps to eliminate the problem. No, they cannot. Nor can we solve them. I'll say that all day. There is no solution. There's none. These white folks know they're done. Those who will work for justice and who understand that work as their conscious responsibility will be found in all places, in all walks of life, at all levels of formal education and all income levels. There are no class divisions or language barriers for those who do this cosmic work. It is time to solve this problem once and for all. There is only one way to do that, and they all must fall. It is time for justice on the planet Earth, and it is on the way. It's called the kingdom. All right, so let me go ahead and finish up by reading this chapter 1. I want to read the first page of chapter 1. Whoa, wait, did I do that? I did. Oh, great. I love it when it does that to me. I do. There we go. Chapter 1. And then we're done. I like this publication. I do. I just don't see any hope coming from me or from you. I just don't. I see that it comes from the Most High, who is soon set to arrive. So in that, I see no lie. Let me do number 1 here. The Cress theory of color confrontation and racism, white supremacy. A psychogenic theory and world outlook. I mean, she's spot on her assessment. I mean, she doesn't need a single readdressment. I mean, straight on, she knows what's going on. But as far as solving and a solution, no, I don't see that. Unlike religion, she wrote this in 1970, unlike religion, the body of knowledge known as science takes the position that all observable phenomena can be explained, or at least is the grist for the mill of investigation, analysis, and understanding by the human mind. In today's very small world, at least 3/4 of the people are non-white. And the members of this non-white majority population are subjected to domination throughout their lives, either directly or indirectly, by a tiny minority of the world's people who classify themselves as white. Racism, white supremacy, then, is revealed as one of, if not the most important observable phenomenon in the world today, for which social behavior and all other scientists should be seeking an explanation. The explanation is clear. It's right there. However, heretofore, racism has been defined as described variously. And they're going to see this here. Yet, in my view, the comment made by Oliver C. Cox in his 1959 award-winning text, Caste, Class, and Race, still prevails. Okay, so let's see what his definition of racism is. It is not ordinarily realized that of all the great mass of writings on race relations, there is available no consistent theory of race relation. The need for such a sociological explanation is so great that recently, when one author succeeded with some degree of superficial logic in explaining the phenomenon in terms of caste relations, the college textbooks of social science journals almost unanimously and unquestionably, hurriedly adopted his theory. So they're so hungry for a definition of why this is, they will take any theory offered. Ain't that the biz? All right, there we go. I've been at this for an hour 53. I think that's enough of me that you need to see. That's the first, and yeah, it ended there. That quote ended there, just to let you know, okay? But that is it for the Doug Rice Show. I hope you enjoyed this and you have this available. Yes, this PDF is easily assailable. All you need do is donate to the shoe, and there you go. Seriously, I have PDFs aplenty. That's just one. And I'm glad that I read it to where I wanted to, and now I'm done. Please, folks, if you like this educational format, if you like this show, go ahead and let me know by giving to the links below. And if you do, I will compensate you. I will give in return a bunch of PDFs so you can learn. And they're available. I mean, I'll give you what I said. I said, for 60 solid, rare to find PDFs, $200. That's wonderful. But I mean, that's a beautiful, listen, if you don't like those 60, I'll give you 60 more. I'll replace them. If you don't like the 60 I'll give you 60 more. I'll give you 120 altogether. Look at that. What I'm saying is, this information is great. It's one way I use to try to support this effort, aside from begging, which is what I'm at this point. Yes, folks, I'm a part of the Bank of America fiasco, the freezing of accounts, the not depositing of merchant money. And so since November 2nd, now it's been over a month, my money's been funny. And I'm at my rope. I'm there. I've asked others and they've said nope. So I'm hanging in the air. And I love what I do. And you know, right now I'm so far behind that trying to chase by doing something different, I won't find any way of any kind of relief unless I ask. And so let me be brief. Folks, give to the Doug Rice Show, support this effort so you know. I will continue to do this. It's a calling. And you know, I'm doing the calling and it seems I'm falling. No, I'm not. I'm just I need some help. So I decided to ask you directly, and there it is. There it is. All right, folks. Wow, it says I'm on at 1:30. Has that been on there the whole time? I don't care. I do appreciate your time, folks. Let me take that caption off there. All right, there we go. I'm still on it. I'm still here. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to my rhyme. My name is Doug Rice. So nice I say it twice. Doug Rice, Doug Rice. Brought to you by Twidware. That's right, Twidware. And Twidware is right there, still on the job, still use the 10% promo code. And you'll be able to get 10% off some good stuff. We got the skincare coming. so your skin ain't rough. We got the beard oil coming, you know, all that's on the way. But until then, I'll see you another day. I do appreciate all you being here, and I hope that your temperament is of good cheer. Oh, goodness. All right, I'm out here, folks. Get the grin off your face. Tomorrow's Monday. It's a new day. That's all I got to say. I'm Doug Rice. Twitwear. That's what I do. I'll see you.